Welcome to Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and a dash of hope collide nightly like a Trevor Story strikeout. We cover every loss, every meltdown, and yes, even the rare win, with brutally honest takes and zero front office fluff. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com or risk being left out in the cold like a home game in April. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. And folks, it finally happened. Your Boston Red Sox made a move. Not a rumor, not a we like our internal options, not a Craig Breslow TED Talk with charts and vibes. An actual human baseball player was signed. I had to check 3 apps, a multi-refresh of Jeff Passan, 2 group chats, and my pulse to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. But before we get there, let's talk about this offseason in a whole. Flat. Lifeless. The baseball equivalent of soda that's been sitting around open on the counter since Thanksgiving. This offseason was so quiet, I started hearing my own thoughts. And trust me, that's not a safe place to be. For months, the Red Sox did absolutely nothing. Nothing. Ownership sat there like a possum in the road, pretending if they didn't move, no one would notice. Meanwhile, other teams are signing stars, making trades, spending money like they've got a functioning soul. And the Red Sox, they were interested. Then Alex Bregman goes to Chicago. Gone, finito. And suddenly, boom, emergency meeting, lights flick on, phones start ringing, and today we get Ranger Suarez. Now, don't get me wrong, Ranger Suarez is a legit pitcher. This isn't me scoffing at the player. This is me questioning the timing like you caught your kid cleaning his room only after the principal called. You're telling me this was the plan all along? Or did ownership just wake up in a cold sweat muttering, oh no, the fans are mad again? And let's be honest, this absolutely feels like a pivot. This feels like, see, we did something signing. The baseball equivalent of buying flowers after you forgot the anniversary. Nice gesture. Still sleeping on the couch. Joining me tonight, and God help me, is Nick Face. Nick has spent the entire offseason pacing like a zoo animal, arguing with strangers online, cursing at ownership, while simultaneously threatening to burn the front office to the ground. Nick hates losing so much that even hypothetical losses make him angry. Somewhere today, Nick screamed, I told you, without fully knowing why. Joining us as well as Thayer Doyle. Thayer has been calm, too calm, the kind of calm that makes you nervous. He's been teaching, parenting, and quietly judging the Red Sox fundamentals like a disappointed Irish uncle. Thayer doesn't yell, he just sighs, and somehow that hurts more. And finally, John Martinello joins us tonight. John lives in the future. He's already evaluated Ranger Suarez's 3rd start in August, his playoff ERA, and whether the signings aligns with the 2028 competitive window. John has been waiting for this move because now he can finally say this actually makes sense, which for him is basically a standing ovation. So tonight, we're breaking it all down. Is this a real shift? Is this ownership reacting to losing Bregman? Or is this just enough movement to stop the booing for a week? Because one signing doesn't erase an offseason of nothing. But it does start a conversation. And finally, it's time for the word of the day.
And now it's time for Nick Face's Word of the Day!
Oh, that's just magical when that word of the day thing comes up, doesn't it? It just makes you smile, and it's the highlight. It should be the highlight of everybody's day. I'm going to go with the word, but then I'm going to go with it as a phrase as well. The word is desperation. The phrase reeks of desperation is where it's coming from for me from tonight. Let's be real. This was an entire organization panicked because we're all pissed beyond belief of what this team has done this offseason. Let's be real. They had to pivot, and they pivoted quickly. Do I want to voice my pleasure right now in saying that they actually did something? Sure, I'll voice it. I'm happy, I guess. I want to see what the full product looks like, though, come March. That's where it's at. This was a very good day here if you're a Red Sox fan. If you don't know who Ranger Suarez is, he's been with the Philadelphia Phillies his entire career. The Red Sox are banking on, in my opinion, his postseason resume the most. 4-1 overall was his record with a 1.48 ERA, 44 strikeouts, 1 save, and 11 appearances in the postseason in his career. Now, all those people out there, listen, Face the Facts, tell more to the story. So I'll tell more to the story. So my professor's happy with me. He debuted in 2018 as a 22-year-old with the Phillies. He's played his whole entire career with the Phillies. Didn't really kind of come into the fold until like 2019. That's when he went 6-1 with a 3.14. He appeared in 37 games. Numbers started to kind of say, okay, this guy's got something. Overall, he's been a durable workhorse for the Phillies. I have to tell you guys, I am a little surprised right now that Dave Dombrowski let him go. I am. I have to be honest with you. Dombrowski doesn't typically let players like this who are durable, reliable, a part of your organization for as long as it's been, walk away. Do they not have enough money? Are they lining themselves up to do something else? Could be. We all know Bo Bichette's name is out there for the Phillies. And if they didn't have enough money to bring Ranger Suarez back, if they're going to utilize it for more of a Bo Bichette type deal, I can understand it. But it's, if you're a Philly fan, I haven't really heard much chatter tonight for the Phillies on this end, but how do you kind of let that guy go? Is he a number 2 starter? I'm sure we're going to be talking about it right now with our crew tonight. I think that he's good. Is he a number 2? I don't know. Is Sonny Gray a number 2? I don't know. Actions speak louder than words. Prove it. The one thing that this does for the Red Sox organization, which I'm thrilled with, is this gives you a lot of depth. The depth right now, I think I tallied everything up, and this includes your Tolleys and our Conley Earlys and all that. I think we have about 11 quality arms that we could slot into this rotation right now for 5 slots typically. I think one of these names, or one of the 11, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that this evening, will slide into more of a long relief or a bullpen kind of role. But on paper, Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez, I'm going to say he's the de facto 2 right now. I feel better with that than I do with more of a question mark on a Sonny Gray at 3. You have number 4, if Brian Bello was still going to be here. I am sure we're going to be talking about that one. And then Oviedo, who we just got from the Pirates, probably slots in at your 5. That leaves Cutter Crawford, who's still a question mark on what's happening with him after being hurt for pretty much the entire season last year. Your Tanner Houks, which is more towards the late end of 2026. Your Kyle Harrisons, your Conley Earlys, your Peyton Tolleys, your Sandovals, Patrick Sandovals. The list goes on and on. I'm happy with this, but I think we need to see more, gents. I do. We need more. Show me more. Show me the money.
Yeah, great points. Nick Face's word of the day is sponsored by John Henry's Vintage 8-Ball Collection. The classic 1980s toy ownership shakes every offseason to decide the direction of the franchise instead of, having a plan. If you ask it, should we sign a superstar third baseman? The 8-Ball will say yes. Immediately trade one that you already have. If the 8-Ball says, do you need to re-sign our third base superstar? The 8-Ball will say, outlook unclear. Sign a pitcher instead. The 8-Ball might say, should we spend money on the roster? The 8-Ball will say, ask again after losing a free agent. Pick up one today, shake responsibly. And now it's time for the Martinello Minute.
And now the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth, raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
Alrighty. So I want to start off with, in 2023, Pedro Martinez had this to say on Ranger Suarez. In quotes, a cold-blooded killer. Fast forward to today, 5-year, $130 million deal, no opt-outs, no trade clause, gets inked. My immediate reaction to this, to the signing, and I tweeted it out, I am pleased, quite pleased. This is the number 2 pitcher that was promised to you in November from Craig Breslow, and now you have the depth to trade a rotation piece to net back an infielder to fill that void that still lingers at second base and third base. A couple episodes ago, I asked you guys if the Red Sox would go over the second CBT threshold. Our answer was no, but now here we are today. Red Sox lie at about $275 million, just above the second threshold and 6th in Major League Baseball. So you look at this rotation now, and you see a list of about 10 guys that Nick pointed out that I'd personally be comfortable with giving 20-plus starts, because injuries happen. And Nick kind of went through that list already, so I'm not going to list out all these guys again, but there aren't too many, even if there is any other major league team that could put a list like this together at this point in time. And above that, now you have a 3-headed monster of Crochet, Suarez, and Gray headlining the Sox in a postseason matchup. You put that back, compare that to last year when Bello gives you 8 outs in game 2 and Early, who had 21 innings of MLB experience under his belt. You have him throwing in a winner-go-home game in Yankee Stadium. The rotation is now among the best in the AL, if not the best in the AL. But the Red Sox still have work to do. As Nick pointed out. As I mentioned,
I have lots of work to do.
As I mentioned, the depth is there to trade with anyone else in the league to bolster the infield. I know Mike Hazen said the Diamondbacks took Marte off the market, but I feel like if you come with the correct offer, what's holding them back from saying no? The Cubs created a logjam for themselves with acquiring Bregman and trading away their number 1 prospect for Edward Cabrera. Does that give Breslow the leverage to get a Nico Horner or Matt Shaw? We'll see. And then Isaac Paredes, he's been linked to Boston for probably since about the winter meetings now. What does Dana Brown want for that injury-riddled bat? And, Bo Bichette, Kyle Tucker, still free agents. There's a ton of avenues that this front office could go. And from what I mentioned in our last show, a 78 to 81 win team that could get all the way up to that 90-plus range that we're looking for if they pull the right switches here. So the job isn't done, but now we're one more swing away from competing for a division title. And I want to end here with a question to you guys. I ask kind of, why is it that the only time that the Boston Red Sox organization makes a significant move to make this roster better is only after they hit rock bottom? Last year, it was losing Max Fried to the Yankees and pivoting to Crochet. This year, it's pivoting to Suarez. Why can't they just be proactive and tend to their needs before having to default to that plan C or plan D?
Yeah, and also Fenway Fraud Fest from, was it 22 or 23 when they got the Rafael Devers extension afterwards?
I was at that game. That was unbelievable. John Henry was on the field because it was the Penguins that were playing there at Fenway Park. He got absolutely torched on earth. He couldn't breathe in Fenway. It was the greatest experience of my life being a part of that.
The Martinello Minute is brought to you by John Henry's Flux Capacitor, because John Martinello is already living 3 seasons ahead while ownership is still buffering. When the front office is asking, what should we do now? Martinello is already evaluating the move, projected the payroll, and told you how it plays out in August 2 months ago. And now we're going to finish off with the third.
And now it's time for the third strike with Thayer.
Ironically, this is the first strike that the Red Sox have thrown all offseason, at least of major note. I'm trying to stay calm in all aspects of this offseason. I'm trying not to get too overly upset when they do nothing for most of it. I try not to get too upset when they lose their number 1 target in Alonso, when they lose their number 2 target in Bregman, when we talk about being aggressive on our number 3 target, Bichette, who we know there's no way in heck they're going to come close to paying that person. And I'm also trying not to get too excited over Ranger Suarez, because coming into this offseason, as I was sort of projecting what I was looking for, the Red Sox are a top of the tier payroll possibility team, but we're playing like the Tampa Bay Rays. And that bothers me. And I struggle with that. Looking at what the possibilities were coming into this year, like John said, we needed 2 right-handed bats and we needed the number 2 pitcher. Looking at the free agent market, the bats were where that was at. You were going to get more bang for your buck with the potential in the off season with Alonso and Bregman, paying them the money and making a trade for a pitcher like Joe Ryan, something like that, because we had a lot of collateral from the standpoint of position players and pitchers. We've seen that they failed in that respect. So the A sort of move was a failure. Now we're sort of in that B and C sort of moves. Ranger Suarez is, like John says, and Pedro said it, and I have someone who works with the Phillies who loves this guy. He has all the makeup. He is going to be the number 2 playoff guy. He has no fear. He takes the ball. He goes. He attacks. He throws strikes. He doesn't overpower, but he is a pitcher. The problem with it, and the reason that we got him at sort of, I guess you could say, the price that we did and what we got him for is we're going to struggle to have him on the field a lot. Sorry, Nick. He is not Adonis. He has a tendency to go Pablo Sandoval-ish, shall we say. And that's a concern, that his work ethic and sort of the weight room and taking care of himself isn't where it's at. On the field, fantastic, but to get him there takes a price. And I think that's sort of that question that you had is, why did Dombrowski let this sort of person go? I think that's why. I think they know a little bit about him. In the locker room, outstanding. On the mound, outstanding. But like everything, he comes with risks. And that was sort of my concern, was it looked like if we were going to sign people, pay them this money, the bats were the less risky. The pitchers were far more risky. We could trade for a more established pitcher with less risk. That being said, if you look at the numbers, and I sort of compare Joe Ryan to Suarez over the last 4 years, better ERA for Suarez. Ironically, the game started were about the same, innings were about the same. Ryan outstrikes him, but on the other turn, Suarez's walk per 9 is much lower. He gets people out. So when he's on the mound, I think we're going to be very happy with Suarez. I think he's going to do the job. Are we going to have him on the mound as much as we want? I hope so. Given the Red Sox propensity of screwing up pitchers, however, I hold my breath. All that being said, I'm trying to be positive. So now we need a bat. We need another right-handed bat. How are we going to do that, and what are we going to do? It makes the most sense to bring in Bichette to play second base. We're covered. We have that. We're good to go. But we know the Red Sox are not going to pay that money, and at least I don't believe they're going to pay that money. So what's the option? Is it Nico Horner? Do we go that route? I don't like the idea of bringing in Eugenio Suarez and having him play third base, because right now, other than Crochet, none of our pitchers are strikeout pitchers. Bello is control and puts the ball in play. Suarez is control, puts the ball in play. Gray is in control and puts the ball in play. We need outstanding infield defense, and Suarez will not be that. So Nico Horner, yes, that would work. Or do we sort of get creative? And this is where I struggle, because I do not trust Breslow. I don't know if he's really capable of doing a lot of things. Do you move Rafaela in and have him play second base? Do you now, since we have that pitching that Nick was talking about, do we trade an early? Do we trade a Tolle? Do we trade a Harrison? And do we trade Duran somewhere for a right-handed power outfield bat? And where is that, and how do we find it? An interesting sort of thought. We've been talking with the Minnesota Twins about Joe Ryan, and they're saying no. They said they had interest in Duran. Are they willing to part with their center fielder? I know he has a no-trade contract, but he's locked up for a couple of years. But Byron Buxton to play the outfield in Fenway Park, now suddenly that's a whole different ball game if you have Suarez, Buxton, and now you have Contreras in your infield. Your lineup is a little deeper, and you now have a potential, like we've all been hoping for, of really contending as opposed to being a third or fourth place team.
Yeah, those are great points. Third Strike by Thayer is sponsored by the 2026 season ticket price increaser. It's activated the moment the Red Sox signed Ranger Suarez and ownership needed something to justify it. One move, one email blast, and the prices go up. You know, it's an interesting thing. I like Buxton too. It's just that fact is he can never stay healthy. But, you know, regardless of that, if you take what you said just in a vacuum, there is a big issue here with the infield defense. And I understand your thoughts on Genio Suarez. But one of the reasons why I was high on him is for the simple fact only that we need some power. We have no power. I mean, Alex Bregman is an 18 home run, 20-ish, probably if he was healthy the entire 2025 season. Maybe you get 22 out of him, or if he gets into a really groove, maybe 25. I don't have a lot of faith that Trevor Story is going to, have the same quality season he did. Maybe he will. And I don't know about anybody else pushing forward outside of Roman Anthony, who, is either going to wind up being a 40 home run guy and a 270 batting average, or he's going to be a 20 home run guy and a 330 kind of batting average. I have no idea, and I don't think anybody does. So I just wanted some power somewhere in that lineup. And as far as the defense is concerned, it is going to be a problem because look, Suarez is no Gold Glove at third base, and as far as second is concerned, that's been a black hole for a number of years. Nick, I'll move it over to you. Your thoughts and reactions to Thayer's takes on the infield, and where do you go from here moving forward? What do you see the path going to be for the rest of this offseason?
One of the things I did want to say, Thayer, your point on the durability on Ranger Suarez was spot on. What my point was that I was trying to come across as compared to what you got.
Oh, no
compared
doubt.
to what you had. That's where I was coming at with unknowns. I'm sorry. That Brian Bello start against the Yankees in the playoffs, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want him here. I don't. He is fallen down for me on a level of pressure, in a pressure situation, to count on him. I can't. I think he'll flourish with the Pirates. I think he'll flourish with another organization that doesn't have the pressure on it. So that's why, looking at what we've had, I wanted to make, I like the durability more so in trust. That when he's
the emotional
on the
durability,
mound,
I think, is what you're talking about.
Exactly. I think he fits the fire of what it takes to pitch here in Boston.
Succeeded.
That's what I'm excited on.
We've talked about this. New York, Boston, Philadelphia. Those
Absolutely.
are different animals. And if you can succeed in those places, you're going to be okay here. And that's what worries me about Sonny Gray. He hasn't shown me in New York. He did not show me he could do it.
Absolutely.
Ranger Suarez, on the other hand, will take the ball and will go get it. So I am not worried about when he's on the mound. I am not in any way, shape, or form worried about him coming out and sort of having that 9-out appearance in the playoffs. None whatsoever.
He's battle tested. And I think that's something that this team doesn't have enough of. Case in point, like a Duran type. We talk about it a lot. Is he staying? Is he going? What's happening here? There's rumors today that now there's going to be some magical box now open that the Diamondbacks now are interested. Can we package him for Kento Marte with a Tolley or an Early or something like that?
Yes, please.
That would be like Christmas morning for me if that happened. Not to lose one of the pitchers, because I think one of them will end up turning out to be okay. But I think if you can relieve yourself of Duran, trade one of the guys, Tolley or Early, and get Kento Marte. I'm sure it's going to cost a little bit more, of course, for that too. Do it, and do it now. And then we'll all be feeling a whole lot better about how this offseason has played itself out. One thing I want to mention, and I don't know if you guys found this very interesting today, but the Toronto Blue Jays put out a post about some of the signings that they have already made, like minor signings and stuff like that. And they're all commenting, Kyle Tucker, Kyle Tucker, Kyle Tucker. I kept scrolling down. I kept looking and looking and looking. And I think you guys know where I'm going here for this. Why don't the Blue Jays want Bo Bichette back, fans? Why don't they want him back? And it made me think quite a bit. And then with this whole signing today with Ranger Suarez, I don't see Bo Bichette back with the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
I really think we'll see Bo Bichette with the Phillies. I really strongly do.
If you're
I also one more thing, and then we can open up. The other thing that I thought about is if they do end up going the Bo Bichette route, the Phillies, I am intrigued by Alec Boehm from the Phillies quite a bit too. And I thought about it again with Phillies. The word, I should have used the word of the days or word of today, battle tested. I should have said that because, again, Philly is a tough place to play. If these guys can play in Philly, 9 times out of 10, you can play here in Boston. So I would be open-minded on that situation. The problem is it's Dave Dombrowski. Would Dave Dombrowski legitimately make a deal with Dippity-Doo head Breslow? The answer to that, I'm sure, is no. It's a pipe dream. But it made me think.
He absolutely would, because he could rob him blind.
Yeah, well, Dombrowski can, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're a Blue Jays fan and you're and you're watching right now, put in the comments so we can talk about it a little bit. As to Nick brought up a great point. It's like,
it just baffled me.
Too. It is baffling why the Blue Jays haven't brought him back and made him a priority. So there's something interesting going on there.
It's all Kyle Tucker. It was maddening. I'm looking at it. I'm like, Bo Bichette, like that's one of your homegrown guys. Why is he not in the conversation right there? Crickets.
I want to kind of switch a little bit back just on the pitching alone. John, I'll open it to you. My question is to kind of like what Thayer was saying and just kind of putting this back into the opening. You spent $130 million on a free agent pitcher. The Red Sox, over the course of the last few years, have done one-year deals quite often with your Corey Klubers, with your Walker Buehlers, 2 years with Giolito. He got hurt. This is a big commitment, both in terms of money and in terms of years for a guy that's 30 years old. And remember, we're told that the Red Sox are afraid of any pitcher over 30 years of age. He is battle tested. He is coming from a team that has obnoxious fans like we have here in New England. But why spend the money on a pitcher of this ilk, if you will, and not try to find another one via trade and go that route?
Yeah, I mean it's a really interesting point because Suarez has the QO attached to him, so Red Sox lose out on a second-round pick, a fifth-round pick, and they lose $1 million in the international signing bonus pool. But I mean, to the point of that, he's battle tested, and kind of just the guy knows how to, he has his own routine. He knows how to pitch in October. He's got all the qualities that you're looking for. And another point that I think is really interesting, is he kind of doesn't fit the mold of Craig Breslow's ideal pitcher. You look at his Savant page, the extension, 29th percentile, fastball velo, 7th percentile. He's 6'1". Most, the guys that Breslow loves are all 6'4" to 6'6" and beyond. So I think that this might be the first instance that we've seen with Breslow where he's really gotten uncomfortable with a player. I don't think that Suarez fits the computer model that he always loves to go to. And I think that, there was a little bit of a human element here in the choice to get aggressive and offer him $130 million over 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, I was really surprised too that they would go in a direction where the qualifying offer was attached. When you think of the way the Red Sox have gone, and I'm not taking anything away from Suarez, but let's be realistic. And I think either Thayer or Nick brought this up earlier. If he was your top choice for the offseason, we wouldn't be doing this now. You probably would have done it a few weeks ago. So again, it still feels like a pivot, and that the timing is so accurate for a pivot. But I just, with all the talk of possibly Freddie Peralta, right? With all the talk of Joe Ryan, it's been jammed down our throats since July of last year. This really is quite a surprise that they would spend their free agent capital on a pitcher of this magnitude. Now, I on the one hand, it's kind of gives you the Theo Epstein vibes. If you recall, Theo was a big proponent on drafting and developing position players, but then going out and signing, either free agents or established pitchers. I mean, obviously, with the Cubs, he did that with Lester and quite a number of the other guys there. And so it just seems like it's a really interesting move. And not that I'm, anticipating it backfiring, but considering the amount of years too, I'm just kind of surprised. Thayer, your thoughts on the length of the contract, and do you think this is going to be something that the Red Sox get 5 quality seasons out of? Because on the cuff, you look at it and you say, we've got Crochet and Suarez at the top of that rotation for 5+ years.
No, and I hate to be so blunt, but I feel that far more intelligent baseball people passed on this guy, and he's very talented for a lot of people to sort of not be involved in it, and there's a reason. I think part of that reason is what we may see is the inability to maintain the physical fitness necessary to be productive throughout the next 5 years. He's a young man, and he has done well in his sort of prime physical stage of sort of surviving. What happens as he ages and the minor sort of aches and pains that sort of come with it start to fill in, and he is not in the greatest shape. That's going to come back to haunt us. I want to Sid Fernandez is coming to mind. Sid Fernandez, this ability to pitch, but yet he let himself go, and maybe that could be sort of the thing.
Just interject quickly. What about CC Sabathia? Always a big guy, and it didn't seem to be a problem for him either.
But he was a big man with a big.
Amazing now, if you guys have seen him. Kudos to him.
But he was a big man with a big frame, and Ranger Suarez, like they've been saying, he's not your prototypical, like CC's what, 6'4", 6'5",
6'7",
6'. Like he was
not
huge.
To make a joke, but
like he's right, he's huge. So like I want to say like Sid Fernandez is coming to my keep the middle school stuff out of it. I deal with enough during the day.
I did this finger, not the other one.
But it's that Sid Fernandez thing, and really what worries me is like this might be the only year we get him, because come the lockout next year, there's no way he's keeping himself in physical shape over the lockout to get himself back to ready where he's going to be necessary. So I love the move. It is a desperation move. It's been done. I don't trust Breslow. I don't trust this front office. This sort of everything we've always dealt with. I can see how this could be something that leads to it. And I just sort of spent the 3 strikes going through it. Do I honestly think that Breslow is capable of making those other moves to make this team that? No. I think it was, hey, I've got the money. We're going to spend the money. I'm going to overpay for this person to appease the people. And thank you. I'm glad we have him. But we're not going to see any more impact moves. Unfortunately, I just don't think he's capable of doing it.
Yeah. The thing I'm worried about, too, is that might be the last free agent move that you see that has any consequence. because I just don't see them going out and spending another $150 million on a Bichette, even though I want him, or $200 million on a Bichette, or even 250, depending on what that real number is. I want to, Nick, I want to ask you, look, we all know that it's been said a million times, and it comes back to bite us and other teams in the butt all the time. And the statement is you can never have enough pitching. My question to you right now is you traded away Hunter Dobbins and Richard Fitz as your main trade pieces here in this offseason. You acquired Oviedo, you acquired Sonny Gray, you acquired Ranger Suarez. To me, there's a little bit of a red flag right there, because if you are the Boston Red Sox and you are high, and I know you want to sell to the other teams that your players are wonderful, but if you have all this young pitching talent, your Tolle, your Early, your Harrison, your Dobbins, your Fitz, all these guys, you just went out and got 3/5 of your rotation brand new. You just ripped open the wrapper. 3 guys that you got for this rotation. It's kind of mind-boggling. The second comment I want you to make is, do we now have enough pitching? Was this a precursor, Ranger Suarez, to now open up the fact that we can more easily move a Tolle or an Early for a bat?
I think the only reason we're having the conversation about pitching depth right now is because it was used so much last season. I mean, Tolle and Conley Early's name would not even be in my sentence right now that I'm making. They just happen to have a few good starts towards the end of the season, and now everybody's all high and mighty about them being the next Pedro Martinez or John Lester. We have to settle ourselves down and stop overhyping, because they don't have a resume. The pitchers that we went out and got at least are proven commodities that have been around the league, battle tested. I hate using the same word, but have been there, done that, and you can count on them. We couldn't count on many of that last season, between your Tanner Houck going down, Cutter Crawford going down, Patrick Sandoval being in another country in witness protection program. You couldn't count on it. So that's why they went this route. And I'm very happy that they have. Am I thrilled with this rotation right now? Is there still work to be done? Yeah, in a perfect world, yeah. I still want Joe Ryan. He's still my number 2 guy that I've been clamoring about since the trade deadline. I think Joe Ryan being in here is a huge difference to this rotation. Now, we know Tarek Skrubal's name has come up a few times this offseason with the Tigers. Jim, you brought it up earlier on if we thought it was going to make a deal happen for stuff. Yeah, I'd entertain that, but I thought it was a pipe dream. Imagine putting Tarek Skubal with Garrett Crochet as your 1-2. I mean, that would be sick. That would be video game-esque. We'd love that. I think you're in a better position right now than you were last offseason with your rotation. With the amount of question marks, at least you have some guys that have pitched, have had some quality seasons to them, and we're hoping that translates over here. How is that going to translate with Andrew Bailey in the pitching lab? That is to be determined as well, too. We also have to figure out, what is this rotation going to end up looking like? There's a lot of depth, which is great. I feel like they've replenished that a little bit since they got rid of Hunter Dobbins and Richard Fitz. It's now just to be determined. Let's see what spring training brings. Let's see what the beginning season opening day rotation and everything is going to look like. And we better damn well hope that we get a much improved Sonny Gray versus the Walker Buehler version that we got last year. Oh God, if he turns into Walker Buehler 2.0, I'm done. And let's hope that Ranger Suarez coming into the American League will translate over fine. Same with Oviedo. You don't know what they're going to do. They're coming to the American League now. So questions, but I don't know if there's as many questions as we had entering last offseason.
John, I saw this tweet today. Somebody that wrote that we have the best rotation in baseball. I'm not there yet. I still think teams like the Dodgers have the best rotation. When you can put those two amazing Japanese pitchers at the top of a rotation, that's just hard to come close to that. What is your opinion on this rotation? And do you think the comments that were made when they said that the management or Breslow would pivot now? I think really it was Bradford that had a lot to say about that term, where he was saying that his rumors and the things he's heard was that Boston would turn towards pitching to try to be more of a run prevention. Is this a really good run prevention rotation? Where are you at on that?
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to the run prevention, this I glad that you actually brought that up. Have a tweet here from Milliken, and this rotation of Crochet, Gray, Bello, Suarez, and Oviedo. Their ground ball percentages among them. Crochet's in the 81st percentile, Gray's in the 66th percentile, Bello's in the 84th percentile, Suarez 76th, and Oviedo in the 64th. And his 64th is from 2023 in his last full season. But run prevention only starts or can only happen when you have the defense to back it up. And the Red Sox outfield defense is one of the best in the big leagues, so there's no questions there. But, as of right now, you have an aging Trevor Story, and then you have a 35-year-old in Wilson Contreras that, put up great numbers at first base in his first season in the majors. But, is he going to do that again? And then, you have Meyer, who I'd assume is going to end up taking one of those third base or second base spots in the lineup. He's, we saw it last year. He's great defensively. Obviously he's playing a secondary position as a natural shortstop, but, he filled the gap well for when he was there. But, when he was there is a big part of that, because how long can he play in this upcoming season? So I think that as far as run prevention goes, it's really going to come down to who this bat is that they need to acquire before the season starts. And, if you go with your Isaac Paredes, I think that, the numbers show that he's a little bit below average defensively. And then outside of him, Eugenio Suarez is atrocious defensively. He's really just a DH, maybe a first baseman. And then, you have your Nico Horners, your Matt Shaws, if you want to go down that route. And then your Ketel Marte, which we always keep on coming back to here. But, those three guys are good defensively. And, it's just a matter of how aggressive, and that's another word that we hate to say here, but how aggressive and how uncomfortable is Craig Breslow willing to get to, finish off these final these final moves that he has to make this team a real threat in the AL East.
Since you and I have been kids, we always kind of did some math with how the season would go with the wins. And we always, before we always had these extra wild cards, you and I always used to talk that if you had 90 wins a year, you needed 15 wins per month. And it was always, we would look at the calendar, right around the end of that current month and foreshadow the next month and say, do we see 15 wins this month? Well, we got 3 against Tampa, or we got, 3 against the A's, or whoever it might have been at that time. And, we'll take 2 out of 3 here. We'll probably only get 1 here. We'll split a doubleheader. And we always tried to figure that out. The other way that we used to always do it too was to say, if you average about 30 wins out of your bullpen, you need 60 in your rotation. And the way I'm looking at it right now, I figure if you're number 2, if it's Suarez, Gray, Bello, and Oviedo, if you average 12 with each one of them, and that may be pushing it, but again, we're talking about averages here. That's 48. And if you give 15 to Crochet, it's 63. You hit your number. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think, Crochet is at X. He's going to be 15 to 20. I see Suarez being in the 12 to 15. And then as we sort of go down the line, you probably give maybe, depending on what sort of offense we can put together, I'd give between 10 and 12 to Bello and Gray. And I'm torn on Bello myself, Nick. The playoff start really upset me. I was pleased throughout the end of the middle to the end of the season. I think it was I think it was a game against the A's in May where he really just was atrocious, and then got himself back together and pitched well up until the playoffs. He can give you 10 to 12. Oviedo, I don't know yet. Maybe 10. If you get 10 out of your fifth starter, you're doing fine. So they can do that. The bullpen, again, this is sort of the piece that we've overlooked so far this winter as we've been talking about it. Yes, we brought Chapman back. At this time last year, we were not hyping Chapman up as this extraordinarily incredible pitcher. He had a monumental year.
We didn't even know if he was going to close.
Right. He had a monumental year. Is he capable of doing the same thing? I don't think so. Is he going to be a complete sort of derelict the way he was like a couple of years ago? No, I don't think so. I think he'll be good, but I don't think he'll be that unstoppable. Whitlock, is he found his sort of potential? Is he going to be the lockdown eighth inning guy? I hope so. We're still dealing with a guy who does have a lot of injury history that we've talked about. And that's pretty much the extent of that bullpen. There's not an awful lot there. They're going to have to mix and match. Nick has been talking about a lot of the different sort of depth that we have. Is it possible that they're going to put those guys in there? But at the same time, pitching at the major league level is incredibly difficult. And that's when you're pitching in your comfort level. Most of these kids that they have are starting pitchers. To take a young starting pitcher out of your routine and put them in the bullpen changes everything. And that makes it a little bit more difficult. So to rely on those kids to do that is going to be tough. Now, to their credit, the pitchers that they have are inning eaters, potentially. So if you're getting 6 innings a start out of your starters, that will make your bullpen that much better. In the previous years,
Openers.
we've been dealing with 4 or 5 inning guys at the most. And that's sort of what happened to our bullpen down the stretch the last couple of years. And that might have happened this year because, ironically, we talked about this. The Red Sox lost a playoff series because we put the ball in the hands of the guy we trusted, Whitlock, and he didn't get the job done.
Yeah, and the other part of it too is that obviously with a 5-year deal with Suarez, you've got Crochet locked up for a number of years. You've got him now locked up for a number of years. Bello, I think you've got 4 more years that he's locked up. Oviedo, I don't even think is arbitration eligible, John. I'm not even sure what that. And of course, when you look at this rotation, guys, and I know people get hurt, but guys like Tolley and Early don't even look like they're on a blip radar of even scratching the surface of getting a start at this point. I know one of you guys brought it up earlier. I can't remember who, but the reality is, and I think Nick, we talked about it on the last show, and I think I brought it up too, but the point I'm saying is Tolley and Early were only brought up because of injury and lack of depth. They weren't brought up because of their talent. So, Red Sox Twitter and fans that are going bonkers about the 2 of these guys, you got to pump the brakes a little bit because there is probably a very low percentage chance that either one of those guys, even Harrison, starts. And the reason why I say that is because you just gave a 5-year deal to, Suarez. Nick, go quickly.
Can I just intervene real quick?
Yeah.
And that brings me to my biggest concern with the Red Sox and how they're going to continue moving forward. I have no trust in the front office's ability to A, develop talent, or B, judge it. We're sitting in a situation right now where, yes, we're going to, the Tolleys and the Harrisons, these are guys that probably would not have seen the field last year, but they did. And they performed relatively well. Their stock is probably as high as it's ever going to be. And we talk about the assets and your ability to use your assets and do that wisely. This is the time to strike while the iron is hot. If Tolle, if Early, if Harrison, if anybody in professional baseball feels these guys are capable of doing something, this is where you strike. You get that pitcher, because the Red Sox have a history of holding on to these guys that, oh, I love this guy. He's fantastic. And what do? They screw him up. And if they don't screw him up, he screws up himself. And now you took an asset where, oh, if we had traded X, Y, or Z, we've had these guys up and down our lineups for the last 15 years. If we had traded, like Duran is the prime example. We're looking at this guy. Can we trust him to hit left-handed hitters? Last winter, we could have traded him for anybody we wanted. But that's not how the Red Sox roll, because they don't understand. I don't trust them to evaluate their talent properly. We knew this 2 years ago, Jim, that he was basically a guy that was living off of his speed, was playing off the adrenaline, and had a career year. Thank you very much. We love you. We're going to trade you for something else. The Red Sox don't do that now, and now we don't even have a guy who can lead off.
I have a feeling that he's in his decline. I have a feeling he's in his decline.
100%.
You know, I mean, he had that excellent 2024, and I think he's in a decline mode already. And, you know, guys with wheels don't usually age well. I mean, you get your freaks like Ricky Henderson, you know, and Ozzie Smith here and there, but it's very rare. Nick, you had a point. I want to move to the next segment.
Kind of in the same predicament as Thayer was going, but again, we overvalue and we overhype players. It all starts with, look at Tristan Casas. Oh, you're going to love him. Perennial all-star, MVP type. Well, we're still waiting, Tristan. Any day now. Any day you want to do that, that would be fantastic. It's kind of at the point, I think a lot of it comes from some of our media people, you know, your Millikins, your Carabas, they overhype some of them a little bit, and fans get way too excited. I mean, we even need to pump the brakes here on Roman Anthony, because yes, he was great when he came up, but then he got hurt. And the expectation right now on Roman Anthony is for him to be this at least top 3 MVP, has to hit 300, has to hit 30, 40 home runs, has to hit over 100 RBIs.
I said on the last show, he's got to be vintage Mike Trout.
Marcelo Meyer, they're already putting the Nomar Garcia Parra award on him. I mean, people, you got to be real. You got to give it a year, even 2, to see what these players are going to do. Until we start saying, oh, we're fine, we're stacked. We have this Cy Young Award winner, Peyton Tolley, is going to come up and blow your brains off. It's sick.
Look, I think it's clear the Red Sox just told you that they do not believe that Tolley and Early are ready. They do not. They may not believe that Harrison's ready, or they don't have the faith in Harrison of being a starter, because again, why did you go and make this move today instead of spending another 100 million on Bichette and shore that up? I want to kind of move on. We haven't done this segment in a while. It's time for DD.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the Dugout Dipshits.
So I had a couple tweets about how to fix the offseason. This was kind of before the Suarez signing. And there's one, I think, afterwards. And I said that I still want Bichette, and I was interested in Genio Suarez or Paredes at third. And, of course, everybody starts coming at me with, what about Mayer? What about Mayer? What about Mayer? What about Mayer? And, you know, this guy here, Roman Empire, he wrote that Mayer died. And I wrote him back. I said, really? I never heard of it. When's the service? Look, here's the thing on Marcelo Mayer. Do I like the glove? I love the glove. You also have to understand that was he the second choice after Bregman went down? I don't know if he was brought up right after Bregman got injured. But if Bregman doesn't get injured, I don't know if Marcelo Mayer has a cup of coffee in the majors. The other part of this is just 1/2 second. The other part of this is this. I don't want to gift wrap second or third base to Marcelo Mayer right now in January 14th when I've got another month of free agency ahead of me, because I don't have enough faith that I can put him in a position to play 150 or 155 games in a season in the major leagues. Now, you want to go ahead and put him back in the minors at third or second and let him cook down there for April, May, June. And if he rakes his ass off and he forces your hand like Roman Anthony did by having an OPS of 8 million, where they had no choice but to bring up Anthony, well, then that's fine. Bring up Mayer and figure it out then. But let's not just give him the crown and the keys to second or third base. Real quickly, 60 seconds. I'd like some reactions on that comment. Nick, I'll start with you.
How can you forget our best friend, David Hamilton? He was the one that was given first chance when Bregman went down. He was gift wrapped to us all. And he's still here, folks. So get used to it.
John, your thoughts on my Mayer comments.
Yeah. So yeah, Bregman went down. I just looked it up. He went down May 23rd of last year. May 24th, Mayer was called up. So Mayer was the immediate choice after that Bregman injury. But I mean, as far as the things that you said, like, yeah, it's hard to disagree with it. Before the wrist injury happened, he started, he, just like Roman Anthony did before his injury, they started to hit well. And I think there was the 2-week stretch before Mayer ended up going out for the season. He was hitting it at like a 270 clip. And, obviously his data is super limited, but I mean, like, personally, I think that he should be getting a job on opening day, but I think that also comes along with a platoon. I don't think that, the guy is 23. You don't have to force him into an everyday role yet. And if he's at second base, him and Romy Gonzalez could split that up. But the glove's there. And then, if you have him in that platoon split, I think that, the injury concerns, you could mute that conversation a little bit just because he's not going to be on the field every single day.
Fair, you're last. Your thoughts on my comments on Mayer. Are you willing to give him the keys to third or second?
I don't know about giving him the keys. However, I think from the defensive standpoint, he is probably your best defensive player in the infield, probably behind Rafaeli, your best defensive infielder or defensive player on the team. So unlike when we sort of looked at Crawford in the spring of last year, who couldn't play defense but was hitting, defense plays at the major league level. You can survive with defense as long as he's not costing you runs. And he showed, I think, enough at the major league level to earn a spot on the roster. It's not like we have a team full of major league caliber players who are going to start over him. Like, unless they go out and they sign Bichette and Suarez, or they trade for Nico and they sign Suarez, there's nobody I would prefer to play second or third base over him. That's kind of how I look at it. Hamilton, no. Romy Gonzalez, we saw what that was last year. He was a very nice sort of extra infielder, but he's going to cause you issues and if he has to play every day. So I think he makes the major league team. Heck, I would trade him and get somebody else. Get Joe Ryan and send him to the Twins, but that's me.
Real quickly, I've got this graphic, career seasons, career records for Dylan Cease and Ranger Suarez. I bring this up. I put this on Twitter because, of course, a lot of people are talking about the fact that the Blue Jays obviously signed Dylan Cease and, where you fit into the equation. And, you look at the career WAR, the career games are pretty similar. Starts, obviously, Cease has started a lot more. He's also got a lot more innings on that arm. Better winning percentage for Suarez, better ERA. Not as many strikeouts as of course we know, and his K rate not as good. Walks are a little bit better, and so forth. So 60 seconds or less. Nick, I'll start with you. Did we get the better player of the two, the better pitcher?
I would say the Ranger Suarez move was a better move. I had a lot of questions on Dylan Cease. I know earlier on when the season was going on, there was that potential, we just packaged Jarren Duran and we can get Dylan Cease from the Padres. I think that was at one point a rumor that was going around from the deadline, and I had grown to kind of accept it, didn't love it. I think he would – I really think Dylan Cease would struggle here at Fenway. I do. I don't think that he would – give us the faith and confidence in knowing that he could get the job done. I really like the fact that, again, Suarez, I hate to be a broken record on it, but Phillies has the experience, the postseason track record. I'm willing to gamble on that.
Thayer, your thoughts. Did we make the better choice?
Yeah, I never have liked Cease very much. He walks too many people. I don't think he's a big game pitcher, someone that goes out and instills fear in your opposition. Suarez is the kind of guy he's shown that he will take the ball and he will beat you. And I don't think Cease is that kind of guy. So yes, I think they probably overpaid for him, but it's still, as long as he is capable of throwing the ball, he's a better pitcher than Cease.
John, your your reactions. Did we get the better player?
I think yes. And, I think the numbers play a large part in it. Would you rather, I know Thayer said that he thinks that we overpaid for Suarez a little bit. I'd rather overpay the $130 million over 5 for Suarez than overpay the 217 or
Agreed.
over 7 years
100%.
or whatever it was for Cease. And another point that Thayer made, Suarez will pitch and make an impact in the big game. Cease, we haven't really seen that. Cease has never been an all-star, and for decent reason. His career ERA shows it on the screen right there, 3.88. ERA plus 110, 10% above what the average major leaguer is. He throws a hard fastball, he locates it well, but I just don't. I never really wanted him. I know Coley Mick over at Section 10 loves him, wanted to pay everything and more for him, but at the end of the day, it's just Ranger Suarez. I think especially at $80 million less, I think he runs circles around Dylan Cease.
Yeah, great points. I want to finish off with some comments. See what we have here. Just some things. Very good, John. And I was going to ask you why Dombrowski let him go. Nick or Thayer, I think you guys brought that up earlier. Still kind of a question mark as to why, you can't have everybody either, I guess is the only other way to say that. Pasha says they need to keep Bello. The rookies have proved nothing. It is interesting that there's been so much talk about the possibility of them actually moving Bello. I'm kind of on the fence. Do if a particular trade comes up that involves a hitter from one team, would you rather move Bello or would you rather move a Tolley or an Early? Nick, I'll ask you that question. Are you more confident moving Bello or would you rather move Tolley, Early, or somebody else like that?
Well, first off, Bello's proven everything to me. He can't get the job done in the big game. He can't get it done.
But he is an established major league starter, though.
This was to give him credit, so I'm not going to go all negative on him. Yes, he does have somewhat of a track record. This season in particular, he showed great strides on improving, at least during the regular season, where again, he had his family that was finally there for his support. So he wasn't mentally all over the place if he walked somebody or a base hit happened. He got his bearings together for the first time that we have seen in his short career. So I just think what you see is what you get. You're not going to get anything more, in my opinion. So that's why I'm kind of so long, partner.
John, really quick, would you rather keep Bello or would you rather move one of the younger kids?
I think it's a tough question to ask because you're going to get a lot more right now in a trade out of Tolley or Early, just based off, what those guys can be, opposed to you really have a pretty good idea at this point of what Brian Bello is. Obviously, at 26 years old, he has a ton of room for improvement, but this was his third full season in the big leagues and he had his best season. Every year he's gotten better. But if I had to really pick and choose, I'd probably be a-okay with moving on from Bello and letting the young guys have their chance here.
Thayer, you're up. Would you move Bello or would you move one of the younger guys?
Based on what I've seen, I would keep Bello and move one of the younger guys. I think between Tolley and Early, one of them is going to hit. And I don't necessarily trust Tolley. I don't know if he'll be able to develop those secondary pitches. Early is a pitcher. I kind of like his stuff, but I don't know how dominant he's going to be. I think I could probably sell people on Tolley and his 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and keep Early and develop him into a pitcher. So I think I'd keep Bello and trade Tolley and Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion, I think John hit it too, is that you're for capital, you're going to get more if you trade Tolley or Early because you have more years of control, number one, and you have you have all those pre-arbitration years. Bello's already making a substantial amount every season. I know it's escalated, but I think it's at 8 or 10 million for this year. I'm not quite sure. So, another team has to put that into consideration. So I think you would almost be selling low on Bello, almost like that you'd have to be giving him away more so than, from a position of strength with one of the younger guys. Yeah. Moving a little bit along, Groovy Weenie. We love the Martinello Minute. Watch your step. Breslow screws it up and has to Kennedy bail him out. Well, we'll see how that happens. I don't put a lot of faith in Sam Kennedy. I think he's completely useless. Speaking about useless, good pitching is useless if you can't score a run. Look, Pasha, we need some more offense. This is one of the reasons why I'm so high on Bichette. And give me Paredes or give me Suarez. I know he's bad at third, but we need something. We need the way to turn the lineup over and not have a black hole. I mean, I like Romy Gonzalez, but he's a backup. We can't keep doing this year in, year out. This is an excellent pod. They more than just me and Groovy. Okay. Thank you very much. Best pod out there. I agree. Appreciate it.
All my family.
What's that? It's all your family. It's good fans who speak the truth. We don't sugarcoat here. I'm the professor of harsh reality. And these guys here, we don't sugarcoat it. We're not here just to be smoke and mirrors and everything marshmallow. We're going to tell it like it is, and we're going to stand behind what we say. If people want to come at us on Twitter or whatever, that's fine. But you know what? At least we've got the balls to make takes online. And most of you guys that hide behind stupid screen names, you're the ones that don't even make any takes. For real, Pasha, we need more fans who speak the truth like these guys. This another one from Pasha. I love Mayer in the field, but I don't know if he could stay healthy. That's just my number one concern and why I'm not interested in giving him that starting job. To Thayer's point, he did that with Campbell. They gave him the money right away. It backfired. I mean, obviously, no one planned on all that. But, let's not forget that Marcelo Mayer has been injured in every single season of his professional career. And we're talking the minor leagues all the way to the majors. So, when you're old like me, that shit happens. But when you're 21, 22 years of age, that shouldn't happen this frequently. I'd like to see him play 130 games in AAA, or at least the first half of the season, force their hand with some really good offensive output. Posh again, Duran is durable, so is Seti. Anthony, I love, but can he stay healthy? Williard too. Nick, I'll ask you this quick question. If Roman Anthony is hurt for any period of time, we're in a lot of trouble.
Last place. You heard it here. Last place.
Yep. Did the Martinello minute happen yet? Yes, it did. And of course, it'll be available.
How much are you paying these people?
Yeah.
Thayer knows who this one is.
Yeah. Matthew Wright. Jack Wright? No. Yes, it happened. There will be another one coming up on our next show. And for this one, you can certainly go to RedSoxDigest.com, and you can go to our YouTube channel, and you can go ahead and replay it over and over and over again. We have more Martinello minutes. We may have to have the Martinello hour at this point. That's just the way it's going. Marte is poison, hated by all teammates.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's really true or not. I think they stood up for him, with that situation with the White Sox. Nick, you brought that up.
We talked about. I don't think this is him. What my concern was, and what I stressed when this whole rumor thing was going on, I think this has been going on for about a month and a half, where his name's come out that the Diamondbacks may part with him, has to do strictly with, can he play here in the tough pressure in Boston? That was the only thing that I had there. I think he's a perfectly fine teammate. I think they all stood up for him. It was a comment that was said about his mother who had passed, and from somebody also who has lost their mother. And, I carry on my day every day, with my mother always in my heart. I get it. I'm not going to come at him for that. He's a human being, and we should respect that.
Yeah, I think that's lost in a lot of the translation too. But I still, gun to my head, I still would rather want him. Matthew Newton says, I think Bo comes with some baggage, and the Blue Jays don't want that headache anymore. This is probably going back as to why we think that maybe the Blue Jays haven't signed him. Plus, Tucker is left-handed, and I think fits the lineup better.
Also, Jim, the Jays' number 2 prospect is a shortstop.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to have some merit on it as well.
And I think
he's definitely not coming back to the Blue Jays, in my opinion. I think he is done.
I think they're ready to move on.
Yeah. I think that the bottom line when it comes to Bichette and the Blue Jays, I think it's just that Kyle Tucker's their number 1 guy that they want to get, and if he goes and signs and takes that short-term high AAV deal with the Mets, then you're going to start seeing all the reports come back that they're going to be aggressive on Bichette again. And I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know what I want. Do I want Kyle Tucker in the American League East, or do I want the Mets to get him, or do I want him in here so that Bichette's available and has one less suitor? And that's going to be a tough one. Stan, our buddy Stan, says Tolley is going to be a bust. I don't know about a bust, but I don't see him really right now as being a starter. He's got 1 pitch. He needs to work on that. That's why I don't see him in the major leagues, unless late in the season. Again, you got a September call up where you only need him to come out of the bullpen and be a strikeout machine. He also says I see him in a bullpen arm and nothing more. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like where I'm at with that. Posh against a Scuba will probably more than likely be a Dodger. I mean, the writing almost seems like it's on the wall at this point. I'm surprised they haven't traded for him already yet. John is great, and so the rest of the guys, Jim, Nick, and Thayer. John, it's your show, man. Duran has been durable. Duran has been a
pain in my ass.
He has been. I hate the on-field fighting with fans. You know, he's not going to age well on this team or any team. And to Thayer's point, last offseason was when you should have moved him. I don't want to say it's too late, but you definitely lost some points with trying to get a better trade with him. Breslow doesn't like Casas at all. I don't like Casas at all.
Neither does Cora.
Yeah, I mean,
Neither do I.
Look, I mean, if Casas was the guy again, and look, he's been drilled down our throats for what, 8 years, ever since Mitch Moreland was traded to San Diego or whatever it was. It's always been like, it's the second coming of I don't know. It was always, that's what it's been. Casas is coming. Casas is coming. And
I call him the beauty school dropout. That's
it's awful. I mean, we can't do this for another season. And to your point, John, I mean, they obviously went out and got Contreras because I don't think they believe him anymore. What I would do with him right now, he has no value in a trade. Put him down in the AAA. He's got options.
Absolutely.
Let him cook down there for half a year and trade him at the trade deadline. Chocolato Zoto says, I have a question and a wild proposal. Would it be possible for Boston trade for Jose Ramirez? I couldn't see that happening now, later, or even in a dream. First of all, I don't think they would match up with Cleveland. And while I would love to have the guy, I don't think Cleveland's looking to move him. He's their best player.
And Craig Breslow's our GM.
Yeah. Tucker to Toronto by Friday night. It's probably getting pretty close. You got to figure a lot of these dominoes are starting to fall. Pasha said, can't they get rid of Hicks? That's another name too. All this bullshit with, Rafael Devers. We still got $21 million that we're owed to this pain in the ass. I would just DFA him, to be honest. You guys like Eugenio? In a perfect world, if you could get rid of Yoshida and make him the DH, I think to add him to that lineup, if you did have someone playing second and third, that would be a great spot for him. Sox fan also says I would trade Tolley. Yeah, either him or Early, I think. And then thank you, Nick, for some insight about Marte. So I think that's about it. I'll open it up to you guys for some final takes or any other news that you may want to come across in tonight's show. Nick, I'll start with you. Any final statements or things that you want to mention?
Yeah, we did not go over the Cardinals trade of Nolan Arenado to the Diamondbacks that happened yesterday. That was a name that was a potential fallback option for the Red Sox. I was a little surprised that he went to the Diamondbacks. Was I interested in him? Maybe last offseason before Bregman came, but now, no. Kind of after seeing what he's done with the Cardinals, I think the best days are behind him, and I think he was truly a Colorado Rocky at heart. And what I mean by that is altitude. I think that helped him quite a bit with his numbers there. We have not mentioned Chaim Bloom's name here tonight. I think that Breslow and Bloom are still talking and dealing and figuring things out. I wouldn't put it past the Red Sox to not have a Brendan Donovan type here on their roster. I don't think I want that, but I would not be surprised if I woke up tomorrow morning and said, oh, Cardinals and Red Sox make yet another trade together, and there it is. Would I be okay with it? I guess I'd be okay with it. It's just the matter of it's not a sexy move. It's not a Kento Marte. It's not a Bo Bichette. It's not something that I think has more quality to it.
Nick, my biggest issue is he's left-handed. I mean, we've got so many left-handed guys. Point
too. Exactly. It's not. It doesn't fit the roster.
John, your final takes and discussion for tonight.
Yeah, I was writing out my notes earlier. We have all the depth and whatnot now. We could move a pitcher, we could move a bat, one of the outfield guys. Looking at the Diamondbacks outfield now, you got Corbin Carroll, Alec Thomas, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Alec Thomas is a replacement level player. Gurriel at this point of his career is also a replacement level player. So, I said it in my minute. If Craig Breslow comes in with the correct offer, I really think that the Marte deal is somewhere out there. Now, again, do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. But that's I could dream as much as I want. And then as I was looking through the Diamondbacks outfield, they have a promotion going on right now where you could buy a season pass for all 81 of their home games for just $299. How crazy is that? It costs $299 to get 2 tickets and a Diet Coke at Fenway Park.
I've been to Chase Field.
Standing room only seats.
Yeah.
I've been to Chase Field back in 2007. I went to a game there. I was at a seminar, and we decided to skip out from the seminar, and we went. Chase Field is a gorgeous field. It was funny because there was a lot of Red Sox fans there, and everybody was wearing the Red Sox gear. And I went to the hotel concierge, and I said, "Do you have any tickets for the game?" And he says, "Yeah." And he shows me the tickets, and they were face value, I think, were like $13. He wanted like $98 a ticket. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Scalping is legal here in Arizona." And I'm like, "All right. Well, I'm not going to buy them, but I'll be back at the time the game begins." And he says, "All right." So I went back at the time the game began and got them for like, I don't know, $8 or whatever, and then just ran to the stadium. And I can't remember who the starter was that game, but yeah, beautiful field out there. Thayer, your last takes for the tonight.
I'm going to preface this by saying I don't expect the Red Sox to do anything further. As we said, I don't trust Breslow. I think this move for Suarez was a knee-jerk reaction to the press that they were getting, and they didn't want to look bad. However, as John was saying, I would love to see Marte come here. I think they have the pieces to make that trade. While I don't think that the Guardians would trade him, that idea of Jose Ramirez would be a lovely thing. Either one of those two guys to play second or third base gives you Mayer. But here's my deal, because, assuming that our general manager, or whatever he calls himself, is incapable of doing the big thing, small deals that could put us over the top into a playoff position. You trade for Nico Horner, you put him at second base, Mayer's your third baseman, and you pull off the move by signing JT Realmuto and put him at catcher. Now you've extended your lineup. You've added 2 right-handed bats along with Contreras, and now I think you have a defense that will solidify everything. You have an experienced catcher behind the plate to handle that staff. Now I think you're looking at you're better than the Yankees, and you are at least challenging the Blue Jays.
Yeah, great point.
I would absolutely do JT Realmuto right now. Done.
He wants $15 million a season.
Good.
So,
give it to him.
Yeah. That's going to wrap it up for tonight. I'd like to thank Nick, John, and Thayer for being on with me. And definitely, if you have not subscribed to our website, I saw a couple subscriptions come in, about 8 or 9 during tonight's show. But definitely go to RedSoxDigest.com. The subscriptions are free. We will also take your money. There is an option there that you can give us money. We like it. We like to use it. We'd like more of it. So definitely go ahead and sign up for that. We will see you on the next show. Hopefully, maybe it'll be tomorrow night, when we get Bo Bichette. John, last minute?
Yeah, one more thing. Going back to Ranger Suarez. Red Sox have to add him to the 40-man roster, obviously. They're at 40 right now, so they're going to have to get rid of someone. Names that come to mind to me, Tristan Gray, which you traded for earlier in the offseason. He'd probably clear waivers, and you'd just get him back into Worcester. David Hamilton, please be David Hamilton.
I'll sleep so well tonight.
Yeah.
Listen.
Connor Wong's another one that I think that you could get rid of him, especially if you're going to give couple games here and there to Contreras at the catching position. And then I saw on Twitter earlier somebody said Giovanni Moran, but I don't see that happening just because of the lack of left-handed pitchers you have right now in the bullpen.
Yeah, great points. I got a name that I'd like to have DFA'd. Masataka Yoshida. I've had enough of him to know I've seen too much.
I think you're Masa. I'm David Hamilton. Fill out the.
I don't know. He's the most productive offensive player in the playoffs we have,
and he's healthy.
True. This is true, and I called it too. But that's gonna do it for tonight's show. Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next time.